Cats. You either love them or you hate them. Sometimes they can be cute and cuddly with purrs and meows galore. Other time they're horrible little bastards. Either way you lean towards, you can't deny that they are a unique and funny animal to have around. But you know what else you can't deny? That there are loads and loads of cat games. From the 2D action RPGs like Cat Quest 1 and 2, to the insane amount of insufferable Talking Tom installments. However, there's one thing that these games have failed to do time and time again. Make you feel like you're actually playing as a cat. Insomniac's Spider-Man makes me feel like Spider-Man, and the Arkham franchise from Rocksteady makes me feel like Batman. Why don't we have a game that makes me feel like a cat? And then by some miracle, our prayers were answered in 2022 by Blue 12 Studio and Annapurna Interactive, with Stray. And whilst it makes you feel like a cat, as a full package, it doesn't manage to win me over despite the cuteness. As I mentioned in the intro, Stray was developed by Blue 12 Studio and published by Annapurna Interactive. It's an adventure game where you will play as a cat exploring a dystopian cyberpunk-esque city with a robot companion at your side. Development on Stray started as early as 2015 when the directors of the game, Kula and Viv, left Ubisoft Montpellier to pursue their own indie project. They took inspiration from the Kowloon walled city in China and their own cats called Murta and Riggs, which led to the idea of traversing the city as a furry feline. Over time, the game developed more with the inclusion of the city's backstory, its history, and its inhabitants. It was officially announced in 2020 and was highly anticipated from the get-go. The game was eventually released on the 19th of July 2022 to positive reviews and even managed to win a couple of awards. It won Best Debut Indie Game and Best Independent Game at the Game Awards in 2022. So yeah, a lot of acclaim for this one. Why am I mixed on it? Well, let's take a look. Stray's core gameplay will have you scaling environments, solving puzzles, avoiding enemies that instantly kill you, and also meowing whenever you feel like it. It all sounds relatively simple, but it falls into the trap of being too simple. To scale buildings, you'll need to go from one part to another, and so on, instead of allowing the player to freely time the jumps and also garner some skill along the way. You just need to find the most convenient path and press X. That's it. I remember there being some controversy around this when it was first revealed, and yeah, I can kind of understand that. You're restricting the player's freedom to climb how they like, and as mentioned, get more skilled at it over time. Games that do this often feel like you're just on one long path and can't deviate away from it unless the game tells you to. However, the developers did mention that they ran into problems whilst in development and wanted to have a much more smoother experience overall. But that still doesn't excuse the fact that it feels mindless just pressing the same button over and over and over again to progress. In addition to that, objects that you would think the cat could easily climb to are not available unless you are in a certain place. You'll have to align the cat up properly, the prompt appears, and yeah, you can press the button. Overall, the traversal is mindless, but it's satisfying to scale buildings. As for the other gameplay elements, some areas will have items for you to find that can allow you to get other items to progress the game. For example, you may need to ask a robot for help with something, but he's too cold and needs something to make him warm. You then find another robot that can make a blanket for him, but she needs something as well. And then you find this from another robot, but they need something too. You find this in a room, but the door's locked and you have to figure out how to open it. Stuff like this is fun to figure out and can feel really rewarding once you've accomplished it. It also doesn't have to be done in the order that I've described. You can collect everything that each robot needs before you meet the one to progress the story. This is great freedom for players, allowing them to do things at their own leisure. However, upon repeat playthroughs, it can make the game feel a lot shorter than I think the devs intended. Stealth and chases are also a thing in Stray. In the game you'll encounter two different enemy types. The first one is the Zerks, an organic creature that eats anything it sees. And then the second are Sentinels, security robots that can one-shot kill you if you're detected. Both of these do offer a lot of fun encounters. Whichever you find yourself near, you'll have to make a run for it, as you have no real way of fighting back. I mean, you are a cat after all. Much like the platforming, this is also relatively simple and will just have you holding down the R2 button and using the analog sticks to manoeuvre around obstacles. The early sections will have you using your wits to track the Zergs in an area that they can't reach you, whilst you progress to the next part, whilst the later sections will have you trying to keep out of the Sentinel's line of sight to avoid being detected. These sections are, for the most part, fun to play through. They offer some nice variety to mix up the game and also provide some challenge, but they are once again quite simple to overcome. Overall, for me, the game didn't provide that much of a challenge. I guess that can be alright for some, and yeah, it does feel nice not dying over and over and over again like other games. However, challenge and difficulty can make you better at the game. You can become more skilled and make the harder areas look so easy to overcome. Look, I know you play as a cat. There's not really that much you can do with the premise, but there could have been some creativity on the developer's part to make some of the combat encounters worth that second, third or fourth run through. Whilst the gameplay lacks, the world more than makes up for it. As I mentioned before, you'll be exploring a cyberpunk-esque underground city filled with unique characters and fascinating world building. In the world of Stray, humans are gone, and in their wake are these humanoid-shaped robots who have taken on traits of humanity to form their personalities. I have to give Blue 12 credit here. Most futuristic, humans are extinct, robots reign supreme stories just mostly boils down to humans are bad, robots must wipe them out, that's it. But in Stray, they subvert expectations. The robots will be doing typical human traits we all do. You can find them eating food, which is just wires, or as I mentioned before in the previous section, even shivering from the cold. There's even a bar, barrels of fire where they keep warm, etc. Whilst most of these don't make a lot of sense, it's just really fascinating to see these robots act like humans, even going so far as to keep the hierarchical structure of our society intact. It's truly fascinating stuff to see, and I just wanted to interact with every character I saw, just to see what they would say. I also want to take a minute just to appreciate the art style of the game. Every section you'll go through is so meticulously detailed, vibrant and teething with personality. Along the way you'll go from the overgrown outdoors to the rundown slums and the colourful upper class city of Midtown, each one filled with characters to speak to and stuff to learn about the world. I also want to give a shout out to the lighting and just how good it is. The lighting helps set the mood in each area. Sewers are dark but not too dark, and the aforementioned Midtown is filled with bright neon lights that for a minute I thought I had walked into a Chinese city. Finally, the cat is just so well done. The animations can be a bit awkward at times, but the level of detail from the fur to the sheen on its eyes, it's just so brilliant. You see, Saints Row? This is what a cat should look like, not whatever the hell you created.
Oh my god! What is that?
As for extra content, you have your standard collectibles scattered around the world. You can find different points of interest to scan if you want to learn more about the world of Stray and its inhabitants. However, some of them are chapter specific, and I would recommend following a guide to get them all in a single sitting. You can also find music sheets to give to one of the robots who will play them for you to listen to. They're pretty chill. If you're a speedrunner, then Stray is a good game to speedrun and can easily be done in about an hour and a half if you're fast enough. Finally, if you want to be a true gamer, then you can go for the Platinum Trophy. You'll have some challenges like not using a helpful weapon during a section, or the downright infuriating trophy Can't Catch Me. I actually had a lot of fun with the trophies, so much so that I went and did it twice. One on PS4, one on PS5. So yeah, get on my level. tandem with the world of Stray, you also have its story, which goes together like a good old British bacon butty. Oh, cringe. The story sees you take on the role of a ginger-haired cat who gets separated from its clouder, yes that's the actual word for a group of cats, and falls into the abyss below. The cat awakens and finds themselves in a desolate, abandoned city with seemingly no life around them, until suddenly, lights start pointing the cat to somewhere. After a while of following the signs, they suddenly encounter these weird-looking creatures called Zerks and eventually manage to escape them. The cat finds where the signs were pointing them to and meets B12, a robot who can't remember his past. The cat and B12 must find a way to reach the surface, whilst also uncovering the mystery of what happened to the humans and also the city. The main crutch of the story is the relationship between B12 and the cat. Whilst it's not as in-depth as other duo games that come to mind, it's still satisfying to see this relationship develop. The two both need each other. Without B12, the cat has no real way of communicating with the city's inhabitants. And without the cat, B12 can't do anything physical. Both of these two need each other to progress, and as the story develops, you feel the friendship that they create right up until the very end. As the story developed, I found myself wanting to help B12 recover his memories and find out just who he was. And when it is finally revealed, I found myself feeling sad, confused, and intrigued all at the same time. However, there are a few moments where I felt slightly disappointed. As mentioned before, humans are extinct and robots are now inhabiting the city, but we never had an answer as to where they went or what happened to them. I thought that perhaps it would get answered at the end of the game, where maybe we find some humans, or we at least know what happened to them. But no, it's never answered. Perhaps if a sequel gets greenlit, then we could have our answer, but as it stands, I was a bit let down. However, that doesn't detract from the story as a whole. It only adds further to the mystery of Stray's world and characters, and as I'm writing this, I would love to see a sequel to this. Stray is a cute and fun cat game with a lot of mystery and intrigue. The world you explore just oozes with detail and its vibrant colours pop on the screen. Coupled with a charming journey about a cat and his little robot makes this an easy recommend. However, the lack of challenge in the gameplay, the simple controls that do everything for you, and the fact that it's not really that replayable makes this a tough one to sell. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty to gush over, but there's just not enough in this cat-sized package to say that it's a must-play. But give it a go for yourself and see what you think.
Get the fuck away from my friends.